chat, I am done, and I feel weird. Even after catching up, I still get the urge to avoid spoilers. It's like a reflex at this point. We have arrived at the finale, an episode whose contents are straightforward and easy to understand. My friends keep telling me that I'm not ready, but I'm no stranger to Arcane's breakneck velocity, so how bad could it possibly be? Yeah, I'm not gonna downplay it. This might be the fastest and densest piece of narrative media I've seen in my life. Forget Deathly Hallows. This is the Netflix cut of Return of the King. 10 minutes longer than the last one, granted, but when it's a choice between Mach 6 and Mach 7, I don't think that'll mean much to the passengers. Above all else, this finale is peak, in the sense that it climbs mighty high and every once in a while it falls off a cliff, but the visual presentation is top-notch, and I'm running out of adjectives to describe it. So instead, I'm gonna switch gears and highlight the audio. I watch all these episodes in a home theater and they all sound fantastic, but the dirt under your nails was so sonically inspired that I was grinning from ear to ear for most of it. Caitlyn's railgun, the Z-drive, every punch, every kick, footstep. I am a Foley artist, do not talk to me about footsteps. The Blu-ray isn't cheap, but it's worth the price of admission just to experience Alfonso Cuarón's gravity the way God intended. Story-wise, there's a lot to cover, so shortcuts were something of an inevitability. Some of them work, others don't, but one that I really liked was the transition to the battle. Just a brief run through of the plan and then boom, Normandy. It's a bit jarring, sure, but that's kind of the point. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Piltover was built for trade, not war. Their most powerful weapon is the Amazon warehouse. As gargantuan in scope as the action is, what surprised me most was how focused it managed to be at the same time. Even with all the moving parts, I could always keep up with what was happening, because it all centers around escorting the League of Legends payload, so Ambessa can accomplish things and stuff. So, I have a question. The Clockwork Soldiers are pretty well unstoppable, and the only thing that can defeat them is the fabric of reality. So, did Ambessa really need the distraction? The answer is no, but that answer is boring, and without that contrivance, we wouldn't have gotten to see the squad. That's right, war crimes are back in season, and I hope you're ready to cough up some cash, because this year the Geneva Convention has an artist alley. Despite having no speaking lines, the green guy continues to be an absolute legend. Wait, run that back.
Let's go!
I guess he does have a speaking line. And a name? Me when I stub my toe. Loris gets a job enforcing Piltover's same-day shipping policy, and I freaking knew it! She's a plant! She's a goddamn onion, Mason! I was watching Maddie like a hawk after the last episode, so the second she handed off the bomb, I knew something was up. I know I'm supposed to be mad, but I'm too busy laughing at the fact that she was killed by a rebound. Also, check out this impact frame, what the hell? Which brings us to Mel, whose entrance was so cool it completely disguised the fact that she couldn't see what was going on. Yeah, I know, something empath sorceress, but my brother's an empath and he can't see through doors.
No, there's Taco Bell in the... Oh, there's Taco Bell in the... Oh, Jake!
What do you want, Victor?
Huh? No, I'm trying to do the hex tech thing. What are you doing? You're trying to daisy me? What's going on?
I'm trying to shut down the hex gate.
Just hold shift, dude. No, hold shift and right click. That'll do them all.
What are you talking about?
Well, you're so bad, dude. Okay, wait, watch this. Look. And float.
What? So yeah, Jace takes a bit of an L, the Noxians bust down the door, and... Wait, was that Loris?
You're calling Riot Games. How can I help you?
What the fuck? Okay, but for real, this episode does not pull its punches when it comes to showing the casualties of war, and the fact that it feels so uncaring is what lends it that extra power. Call me biased, but I feel like Loris had just the right amount of screen time, and he stands as a testament to how much you can do with visual storytelling. With remarkably little dialogue, I got an image of a man who stepped away from violence after having endured loss, only to get caught in the crossfire of a conflict he took no pleasure in joining. And the tragedy was effective because it felt like I'd never get to truly know the kind of man he was. This actions over words approached character is also why I love Echo so much, who barely says anything, and yet every scene that features him is better because he's in it. I expected the Control-Z drive to be used to enhance the combat, and that's exactly what I got, but you could have given me several months and all the foreshadowing in the world, and I still wouldn't have arrived at this. My favorite moment in the season, if not the entire show. A lovingly crafted depiction of one of life's most challenging challenging subjects with a light sprinkle of dark comedy on top because this show has some balls. Bit of a shame that Savika wasn't a part of it, but after seeing the resolution, I can't imagine it with any other duo. And what a duo they are. When Jinx's music blared through the city and I saw her captaining the most playful warship put to screen, I had the biggest, dumbest smile on my face. The big fat hero and the subway surfers are here to save the day, and if you watch closely, you can even catch glimpses of Savika trying to be relevant. Victor's new design is certainly something. I found his face a bit distracting, but it was cool to see the Hex Claw from Season 1 fully materialize. Last episode I mentioned feeling a bit disconnected from the heart of this dynamic, but this one reeled me back in by centering its focus on just that. And I was right about something. Again! To be fair, that one's pretty obvious. I mean, imagine if the sorcerer was just a guy. Of all the ways they could have resolved this, rekindling their partnership is certainly up there. And yes, the animation is excellent. In other news, water is wet, the sky is blue, and AI Overview made a mistake. Now, if I were to just pretend for a moment that I have the slightest clue what happened, my headcanon is that these two wound up inside the gemstone Victor gave Jace, and that their instincts are what drove his spidey sense when it merged with his body. But one way or another, I'm pretty confident they're alive and out there somewhere, and there's nothing you can do to tell me otherwise.
What about Jace and Victor, though? Are they all right?
They are right now. I would say they have, unfortunately, disintegrated. That is unfortunately their end as well.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
That's the big bad dealt with, but what about Mbessa? Honestly, not much to say here. I still think she's cool. And she didn't lose because her plan was a failure. She lost because her plan was stupid. Look, the lady wasn't built for brains. She just wants the biggest weapon there is. She's a weapon junkie. If weapons could be powderized, she'd probably snort it. And as I expected, her short-sightedness costs her the fight as Mel reveals her pact with Mary Jane herself.
Now kiss.
They never confirmed that the Black Rose is her ex, but they didn't deny it. So I'm not ruling it out. Anyway, being handed over to her arch nemesis by the very daughter she sought to protect from them is simply poetic, and then the scene keeps going. It's actually impressive how swiftly I went from jumping up and down with excited satisfaction to absolute confuzzlement. Wait, so she betrayed her mom, then double-crossed the bad guy to save her mom, then she dies? What? Huh? This is the finale, though, and I've unlocked the runes necessary to channel the mystic arts of Googling what happened. Turns out this was a reveal mostly targeting League of Legends players. This deceiver is a character in the game, and they seem to be setting up their involvement in Riot's next series. In my opinion, this is the one time in the entire show in which Arcane's position as a video game adaptation hurt the script for everyone else. All is well if you're familiar with the lore, but without that context, what should have been a pivotal moment just left me scratching my head, and I'm not the only one. Holistically, I still enjoyed the dynamic between Mbessa and Mel, finally expressing pride in your daughter only after she uses merciless tactics to defeat you in combat is certainly a thing to do as a mother. I just wish it felt like I was watching the conclusion to that saga rather than the E3 trailer for the Extended Universe installment featuring Benoit Blanc. Obviously, this is a product of runtime, and yeah, episode 9 was the straw that broke the pacing camel's back. I love what they did with Jinx, Echo, Victor, and Jace, but the story established by season 1 was the strained relationship between two sisters and two nations. Vi and Jinx's story does get resolved, but while Jinx got plenty of spotlight, Vi didn't really feel like she had much agency. I also thought it was a bit of a stretch that Piltover and Zahn would set aside their differences at the height of their tensions because a guy on the council showed them a robot. Maybe instead of a motivational speech, we could have had one final courtroom drama with Jace stepping in as their mediator. Would have at least given the impression that the Kiraman occupation had some sort of lasting impact. Indeed, Caitlyn herself gets off quite easy, considering she was the face of Zahn's oppression for months. None of these things are deal breakers to me, but they did leave me with a bunch of questions. Whatever happened to Mel and Jace's relationship? Did they break up? What was the deal with the Firelight's tree? Can I get more Savika? Can I have some money? Where is Jinx going at the end? Oh, yeah, did I mention Jinx? It's heavily implied that Jinx is still kicking, and if that's news to you, join the club. After I watched the episode, I spoke to a few friends, and they showed me the evidence.
See? She moves! Right there! Wait! Right there!
Coincidence? I think not!
Naturally, I missed that detail, but it's not the only one. When Caitlin pulls up a diagram of the hex gate Vi and Jinx were caught in, she zooms in on some air ducts on the side, then ponders, like she's thinking, oh, that Jinx, what a rascal she is. Plus, at the end, we see a shot of an airship leaving Piltover, connecting to Powder's very first line in the show.
One day, I'm gonna ride in one of those things.
Etc., etc. That's all well and good, but the show uses every language cinema has at its disposal to prime the viewer to think that she's dead. I was initially frustrated because I felt like Jinx's sacrifice was at odds with the messaging of it never being too late to build something new, so I prefer the notion that she survived, but I've combed through reaction after reaction, and the only one I found who came to that conclusion on their own was Not So Average Fangirl, but to be fair, her intuition is so sharp it's surgical grade.
Is that Vander?
Could it be made clearer with a slightly different edit? Well, I tested this by adding a flashback to the archive scene and sent my amended cut to my mom when it was her turn to watch the episode.
So, like, what happened with Jinx?
She died.
Well, can't say I didn't try. But to be quite fair, my friend and my mom were both satisfied with Jinx's sacrifice and frustrated by the implication that she survived, so maybe it's just me. He did it again! There were definitely parts of the finale that left me conflicted, but taken as a whole, I thoroughly enjoyed this season. It's nowhere near as tight as the first, but what it lacks in finesse, it makes up for with boldness. I'd rather see a piece of media try something new and stumble than take no risks whatsoever, and Season 2's foundation of risk could probably hold the Empire State. That being said, if you didn't like it, I completely understand. I certainly would have preferred more screen time to be given to the characters I was invested in, and without a clear connection to the rest of the story, the Black Rose couldn't help but feel a bit superfluous. But despite all of that, there's just so much to chew on that I can't wait for my next rewatch, where I'll finally get the pleasure of experiencing Season 2 within 1 calendar year. And for those of you who stuck with me throughout this journey, you are based. These videos have been a labor of love, so if you share them around, that'll make me happy. The moral of this act is that imperfections are beautiful. These two are gay, and despite everything, the only one who got to live happily ever after was the mad scientist. What?